is a way for Jill Stein, Cornel West, and Claudia de la Cruz to win the presidency. And frankly, if you have a conscience, you would only vote for Jill Stein and Cornel West and Claudia de la Cruz. Vote for the greater good, not the lesser of the two evils. And so, how can Cornel West win this election? We'll just pick one of them, because we'll just pick one of them. Okay, so Cornel West can win the election if he has to do two things. He's got to at least get one electoral college vote, and then the two main contenders don't get the 270 votes, because you have to win a majority of the electoral college in order to become president. So if you could deny the two main candidates of getting their 270 votes, and you're the third place winner, so in order to get that to happen, you have to get probably more than one vote, but they could tie. You could get one vote, they could tie, there could be a faithless elector that just writes in Ron Paul. So technically speaking, you can win the presidency with just one electoral college vote, but you're probably going to need to get more. And so let me just tell you what the strategy of this would be. So if I'm Cornel West, and say we're being serious, we're not just spoilers, we're not just disruptors, we actually want to win. Butch Ware said he actually wanted Jill Stein to win. So you'd have to do a couple things, but you'd have to at least get 1, 2, 3. Try to get as many electoral college votes as you can. So let's put our big boy pants on, right? And what would we do? We would do two things. Maine and Nebraska, they have it to where each district votes for a candidate. And so you can distribute the votes. Maine, Nebraska, a lot of times they kind of split the vote, because the Maine statewide winner, well, they get 2 votes. And then each district, the House district, whoever wins the district, that district goes, their electoral college vote goes to them. So you had Barack Obama won Nebraska and Omaha, and then you had Donald Trump who won in Maine. So this doesn't happen because Maine is typically blue state, Nebraska is a red state. So Barack Obama winning the 2nd district, I want to say, was an anomaly. And then Donald winning the 2nd district in Maine was an anomaly too. So by focusing on the district, you're focusing on one area, one spot, and you're thinking like a big boy. Put your big boy pants on, because the Democrats and the Republicans, you know what they do? They put all the resources in 7 states. In 7 states. You got the swing states, right? Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Well, that's 8. So Pennsylvania is right. I just said it twice. Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those are the 7 swing states. I don't think that they would be able to win a swing state, but maybe they could. Maybe they could kind of get their fingertips up on the ledge and then be able to pull themselves up and over. My tactics are the strategy: focus on Nebraska, focus on Maine, and then try to win in a whole state. Try to win an actual state. Try to win Rhode Island. Try to win Montana, Utah. Find your polling. I don't know if they do internal polling or not, but find out where they're polling, like 1, 5, 6, 7, 10%. If they're polling at 10% in Utah, then put all your resources in Utah. They're trying to get the ballot. They got to do the ballot access thing, so they're trying to do this national campaign, and essentially you should be allowed into the debates if you have enough states to become the president. If you could get 270 electoral college votes because you're on enough ballots to get 270 votes, that should be the qualification to get into the debates. It don't look like there's going to be any more debates. So that's the strategy. Get at least one electoral vote, deny both a majority. We're going to try to get more than one electoral vote. We're going to aim for Nebraska and Maine's individual districts. And then we're going to find a state where Jill Stein or Cornel West or Claudia de la Cruz is polling the highest, and then hit that state as hard as you can. If you can win a whole state, that'll get you a bunch of electoral college votes. Because let's say Cornel gets 1 electoral college votes, and then so does Ron Paul. Well, hell, Ron Paul might get the damn election. Now, this has happened 3 times in America's history, and only 2 times with the presidency. Where does all these rules come from? They come from Article 2, Section 1 and 2, and they come from the 12th Amendment and the 23rd Amendment, or the 20th Amendment. So the 20th Amendment and the 12th Amendment And Article 2, Section 1 and 2 is what defines the Electoral College and how the Electoral College wins. Because nobody really votes for the president. They're just voting for the electors that eventually vote for the president. Right? We got to do the old 1-2. And since the Electoral College is the one that picks the presidency, let's say Donald gets 260, and then you get Kamala, who gets 262. So that means both of them had lost, right, by 10. And so that's 20 Electoral College votes that's out there. And Cornel West gets the 20 Electoral College votes. He was able to get Utah, and he was able to get Delaware, and he was able to get Hawaii to vote for him. That would put Hawaii on the map. For the rest, of their lives, the Republicans and the Democrats would be like, well, shit, how did we lose Hawaii? How did we lose Utah? How in the world did we lose Delaware? So I was looking at the different pollings. And then, okay, so let's carry on with my hypothetical. So Cornel West has 20 Electoral College votes. And then Kamala and Donald Trump, they both got 260, but they were denied a majority. They only got a plurality. So one could beat the other, but if you don't get a majority, which is 270, you got to get 270. The first one to get 270 Electoral College votes is the winner. That's including Cornel. So after Cornel gets the 20 Electoral College votes and 260 is shared by Kamala and Trump, well, shit, now we're in a constitutional crisis here. We're going to trigger the House Contingent Election. And with the House Contingent Election, what's going to happen is they're going to pick the top 3. And out of the top 3, the House of Representatives are going to vote. And the reason why the 20th Amendment applies to the Electoral College is because the incoming Congress, the Congress that is coming in, is going to be the ones who vote for that, which is good for Cornel West because that'll be a brand new Congress. And that'll be new blood, new ideas. That'll be a Congress that would be willing to do something different. So he would have to get the 20 Electoral College votes, trigger the constitutional crisis, trigger the House Contingent Election, and then when they schedule the House Contingent Election, then just give speech after speech after speech, give rally after rally. Get on the big TVs and get on the mainstream, even if you don't, YouTube and Twitter, TikTok. All the young people are into TikTok these days. So just hit it as hard as you can. People will be listening to him like they've never listened to him ever in their entire lives. I was looking at some of the polls, and Cornel West versus Jill Stein, he's got better favorables than Jill and less unfavorables than Jill. Jill has 12% favorable and 28% unfavorable. That's terrible for both of them, frankly, because that means only 12% of the population like Jill Stein and 28% hate her. And then the other, 40, 30, 60% of the people don't even know her. Same thing with Cornel. 14% are favorable for Cornel and 24% don't like him at all. It's like, why? How did they get that much hatred? So maybe just because they're the third party or whatever. So that's 40% of the people that's saying that, that's 40% of the people. That means 60% don't have an opinion one way or another. So I was looking at the polls to see if I could find a state that's like got, 5% or that's like big Jill Stein or Cornel West or Claudia de la Cruz lovers. And I couldn't find it. Here in North Carolina, Harris is polling at 49%. Trump is polling at 46%. This is Quinnipiac, and Jill Stein is polling at 1%. So that's not great, but these are, the swing states. Georgia, Donald is winning 49%. Kamala Harris is winning, or is second, 45%. Then Cornel West has 1%. De La Cruz has got 1%. This is not good, having 1%. I think the swing states, I think too many people are going to feel like they have to be compelled to vote for the one that they think is most likely going to win. In a safe state, a safely Republican state, and a safely Democrat state, you're pissing your vote away if you just vote for the two main candidates. Why don't you actually make your vote relevant? Make your vote count. So you have, let's see, magic number 20, the top 3 House, the poll number. I found the general one is Trump 43. This was when RFK was in there. Kamala is winning, beating over Trump 47% to 43%. And then RFK has 6%. Jill, Cornel, and then Chase Oliver all have 1%. Claudia de la Cruz didn't show up. This was when RFK was in there, which means that The people are kind of thirsty for a third-party candidate. Now you got those RFK voters to pick up. Yeah, he says vote for Donald, but does that even make any fucking sense? That don't even make any goddamn sense. So, for Cornel West, you got to at least get one electoral college vote. You got to deny both of them of a majority. You'll probably need to get 1, 5, 10, 20 electoral college votes. Aim for Nebraska and Maine's independent individual districts. Find 1, 2, or 3 states where you just hit it hard, where you're polling at 5% and then push that 5% up to 10, 20, 30, 40%. Hell, maybe you might even be able to debate one of the 2 big dogs. So you got 2 big dogs, right? And we should talk about like that, frankly. Because when I look at the election, it doesn't seem like they really they're a long shot. They have a very thin chance of winning. But that doesn't mean they can't win. This is America. If you could dream it, you could do it. So they are long shot candidates. Jill Stein is beating Kamala Harris with Muslim Americans in Michigan, Arizona, and Wisconsin. So Muslim Americans apparently are opposed to the genocide. And that's why you have AOC who's shitting on Jill because of that poll. Which means if AOC is scared, well then she was the, purported progressive. The entire Democratic establishment is shaking in their boots. So in the fucking genocide, Kamala, that's how you win those voters. You can shit on Jill Stein all day long. Stop the fucking genocide. Stop the genocide with an arms embargo. Cut the fucking purse strings. Do not veto the United Nations resolutions. Make a phone call to Netanyahu and say, knock this shit off. Because he's a right-winger. And they both want war to go on. Sinclair or Sin War. So the Hamas leader wants the war to go on. And he's a right-winger and so does Netanyahu. This thing's going to go on and on, my friend. RFK was polling 5, 10, 15%. So I think American people are thirsty. I always hope. You don't want to be too deluded. Nebraska 2nd District, which is Omaha. So focus on Omaha, Nebraska. That's the capital, right? And then Maine 2nd District, which I'm not sure what the 2nd District of Maine is, but that went to Donald. And then think about this. History and events pick the president. Right before Barack Obama became president, there was a Great Recession. The Great Recession hit 1 month before the election. Well, shit, the Great Recession dictated that Obama should win. So history and events picks the president. Right now you got the genocide. Kamala ain't going to stop the fucking genocide. She isn't acting like it. She works around the clock. Well, you suck at your fucking job. And it's about a moral issue. Oh, Israel's got a right to defend themselves. So does Palestine. Palestine's got a right to defend themselves. A baby born in Palestine, Jesus, Bethlehem, is just as important as a baby born in Tel Aviv. And that's Cornel West. That's his rhetoric. Last but not least, I'll just talk quickly about the history of House Contingent Elections. I would say most people don't know about this at all. Why? Because, 1837 I'm going to put off to the side, but it had to do with Richard Minter Johnson, who killed Tecumseh. And fuck Richard Minter Johnson. That was Virginia. Virginia refused to vote for the vice president, and then it went to the Senate. So the presidential vote, if the vice president is triggered, then it'll go to the Senate. And then if the presidential race is triggered, it goes to the House. But we have them running as, side by side. And so I think what would happen if one of the main candidates, it would just go to the different houses. So the president would be chosen by the House, and then the vice president would be chosen by the Senate. And I'm not sure if it's the top 2, top 4, how exactly the Senate does it. But it's the vice president. Who gives a shit, right? So when it comes to the president, 1801 and 1825, you had Aaron Burr versus Thomas Jefferson, old Tommy J. And Aaron Burr fucking killed Alexander Hamilton. In 1801, it goes to the House Contingent Election. Thomas Jefferson's going to be victorious. 1825, you got a 4-way split. You got a guy named Crawford, you got Henry Clay, you got John Quincy Adams, and then you got Andrew Jackson, the Trail of Tears genocidal piece of shit. Andrew Jackson is going to win the popular vote. I think he won more of the Electoral College votes. So he got more votes than all the other ones. He got more Electoral College votes than the other ones. But because it goes to the House Contingent Election. It's the top three. So the four-way split, you're going to trim one of them out. Henry Clay had the least amount, so that was like runoff voting, right? We put him off to the side. And then Henry Clay told his supporters to vote for John Quincy Adams because him and Andrew Jackson had this beef. And then John Quincy Adams is going to give Henry Clay the Secretary of State job, I believe. And that's going to get Andrew Jackson calling it a corrupt bargain. Ah, that damn Henry Clay fucked me over. John Quincy Adams and Henry Clay made this deal and a corrupt bargain happened. So the 1825 House Contingent Election is the most famous because of that corrupt bargain. Aaron Burr versus Thomas Jefferson, they changed some of the laws too during these years. But John Quincy Adams is going to be victorious against Andrew Jackson and the guy named Crawford. Since Andrew Jackson, he won the most votes, but he didn't win the majority of 131 Electoral College votes. He needed 131 Electoral College votes. He didn't get it. The House Contingent Election happened. And so the person who actually didn't get the majority of, or the plurality, that's the distinction. If you only win a plurality, which means you beat the other people, I want to say Bill Clinton won a plurality. I don't know if it was in terms of the popular vote or the Electoral College. But if you win the plurality, but you don't win the majority, so you got more votes than the other people, but you didn't win the majority. And if you didn't win the majority, then you don't get to be president. And if you got a conscience, you have to vote for Claudia or Jill or Cornel West. Just denying them this vote so that way it'll go to, that's revolutionary. Maybe that Chase Oliver will win. Cornel, Jill, Claudia de la Cruz. Trigger the House Contingent Election. Then it'll be the House of Representatives. It'll be exciting. It'll be fun. And it won't be too bad of a constitutional crisis because, well, the Constitution specifically says the House decides. I want to say the Vice President becomes the President. So in a way, Kamala will be running the damn country until the House of Representatives figures out who the next president is going to be. So that's how Cornel West can become president. I'll say it again. Get at least one electoral college vote, right? Try to get 20. So you want to aim for Nebraska and Maine's individual districts. You also want to find 1, 2, or 3 states. Try to take California. Try to take New York, right? Those are safely Democratic states. Try to take Texas. Try to take these safe states. I don't think you'll win the swing states because people would just be too compelled because those are the states that matter the most to vote for the person who they think is going to win. So that'll be where most of the ruckus and most of the controversy and the dispute is going to go is the 7 swing states because, yeah, voting for the other candidates will deny yours of the one. Then you might get the other person. You don't want to do that exactly, right? But in the safe states, the states where people are safely going to vote for the other person, you can't lose. You are making a stink by saying, hey, you don't have my vote. I voted for the greater good. I voted to end genocide, you motherfucker. You can also say, don't blame me. I didn't vote for, A or B. You can have a good conscience and a clean soul and sleep just like a baby, like all these fucking genocidal psychopaths are sleeping. So that's how you do it. If you're Cornel West, find the state where, you're polling high. Hit that state. Try to win Utah, Montana, Florida. There. Utah, Montana, Florida. Cornel West tries to go for those. Gets the individual districts of Maine and Nebraska. If you could get one district, that means you got at least your fingertips are on the ledge. You're able to jump this crazy ass jump and you got your fingertips on the ledge. But if you win 10 electoral college votes, that's a big spread. And if this is a close election, then the close election, it might be 265 to 265. He might win enough for them to deny the majority, but he might not. So he needs to win enough to deny the majority. He needs to win 3rd place, and then he needs to win enough to deny the majority. So in a way, if you're a third-party candidate, you should be championing your third-party brethren. Because the more people that vote for the third parties, the more votes that would be taken away from the two main parties, and therefore a House contingent election would be more likely. If you don't like the two main parties, by voting for third party, any of the third party votes, you're making it more likely that they won't get to the 270 that they need, that they so desperately need. They cannot become president until they win 270 votes. So hell yeah, be like that Crawford guy. Who's John Quincy Adams? Who's Andrew Jackson? Those are the top two, right? But Crawford had a chance. So Cornel West, Jill Stein, and Claudia de la Cruz should try to be like Crawford. Try to be like Crawford, everybody. Who the hell is Crawford? I don't know, but try to be like him.